All right, welcome back. We've got a very special edition for you. Our special guest is a world-renowned record company executive and guitar maker. Please welcome Marko Babineau.
Hey, how are you, Jay?
Marko, look at that shirt, man. We love and nefarious, your guitar company, that logo. Tell us about the origin of that character there.
Well, my partner Frank, well, let me go back here. In my day job, I'm a realtor. I've been doing
Sure.
real estate residentially for 23 years. And last October, I had a musician. I was showing a house in Sherman Oaks, and we walked in the house, and on the floor was a guitar body in raw wood, but it had this burn in it that looked like lightning struck it. Thus, as you see, uh, Zeke has got lightning bolt running through him.
Yes,
And and
electrical
I
current.
and I thought this is so cool looking. And my client said, "Wow, I've never seen anything like that." And he's a guitar player. And the owner of the house came walking out from the back and he goes, "Yeah, I burn furniture. I do end tables and bureaus." And I said, "How about guitars?" And he goes, "I never thought of that." And I said, "Come on now." So we formed a partnership, and it's been just about a year now. And Frank taught me how to burn guitars with electricity, how we do it. And it's kind of a secret formula. But the fact is, we've now burnt, I think, probably about a dozen guitars, and we've sold them independently. And the first guitar body I burnt, I sold to the Sheikh of Kuwait. And he saw this thing and just said, "I must have it." And we're in partnership with Black Volt Amplification. Gio Loria is the owner and designer, and he makes these beautiful handcrafted wooden amplifiers. With instead of the typical silver speaker cloth or black cloth, he does Navajo carpet. I mean, blankets. Like, so it has a real American kind of Southwest feel, and they're all tube amps, hand soldered. He does gorgeous work, but he also makes guitars, and he finds reclaimed wood that is really ancient or antique or like 50 to 100 years old. So it's all the woods he uses are beautiful, and once again, hand solders everything. All the metal that goes into all his guitars is premium. So these are high priced guitars that he makes, and I think it was about 2 years ago he got a bunch of the Hollywood Bowl benches when they were selling them,
Oh,
and
wow.
he made a lot of guitars out of them and sold them for uber prices, and sold out of them right away. So he saw our burn and fell in love with us, and he goes, "Guys, I got to get involved in this." So Frank and I said, "All right, we got to get serious about this." And I said, "We have to come up with a logo." I said, I want a mascot. I want something." So if you're familiar at all with like Krampus or Krampus, which is the character from old German fables, at Christmas time comes and steals gifts from the bad children. And it was this kind of evil character, which, let me get a little closer. You can see a little more of old Krampus.
Yeah,
And
it almost looks like Greek mythology, you know?
yeah, he's a real gnarly looking character. He's nefarious. So we came up with Zeke as a logo, and I said, why not throw some lightning through it? So Frank is really the designer who came up with the whole concept. And, he's a great partner to have because he's so innovative. I mean, he's always coming up with ideas, which, so now we burnt a bunch of bodies. And Frank said, "How many times have you seen denim jackets with rock and roll patches on it?" And I said, "For years, every time you go to concert or just anywhere." So he said, "What do you think if we wrap a guitar in denim with rock and roll patches on it?" So, we thought about it, and it was like, it could be cool. But the one thing about guitar with the wood on a body, you want it to be able to, you don't want to cover up the wood because you want it to resonate through it for the tonality of the guitar.
Yes.
But so what we did is we found this. We kind of partnered up a one off with Food Dog, He's a luthier downtown, and we hooked up with him, and he had this idea too. He thought it was clever of us. So we brought it all to him and he built it for us. But it was really Frank and mine. And I got to give the nod to Frank. A lot of it came from him. But the fact is, Food Dog went in and carved out where each one of the patches were going to be placed. So when we wrapped it in denim and put the band patches on, they just synced in with the body with the denim. So there was no bumps or rises off the body. And I've had a bunch of guitar players play it to make sure it worked well, and everyone who plays it falls in love with it. So we thought, okay, what are we going to do with this? Because it was a one-off, and we decided, why don't we go to Guitar Center, because they have that charity where they raise money for less fortunate kids that can't afford instruments, and they'll donate instruments through their charity. And we said, why don't we auction this off? And while we're doing it, let's try to get some other people involved. So I reached out to Matt Pinfield at KLOS, who's a dear friend, and
Yep.
Keith Cunningham, the promotion director, is also a good friend. And basically talked to both of them and said, why don't you guys get involved? We'll get Matt to mention it on his show on KLOS on Sunday nights. And we'll get Full Metal Jackie, who's got a metal show, also to work it. And we went live with the auction about 3 days ago. It's at the Hollywood Guitar Center store. And it's beautiful. You walk in the store, and as you walk in about 20, 30 yards into the middle of the whole store, there's a giant pillar with a big glass case, and it had B.B. King's Lucille guitar and Bo Diddley's square box guitar. And they pulled Bo Diddley's out and put our patch guitar in there. So we're with great company, and there's a sign explaining the auction. And we're already starting to raise money for it. But it's a great cause. Obviously, we wanted to get the promotion out of it, but we donated everything, all the cost it took us to pay Food Dog and to build the guitar, and all the sweat and labor Frank and I put into it. And I just hope we raise a lot of money, because, like I said, it's for a really good cause.
Yeah, I'm going to go down and take a look at that tomorrow.
Good,
It's the
good.
ideal location.
I might run into you there, because I'm going to head over. I want to clip some videos for social media. But Frank and I are always trying to come up with the next idea. And Frank said, we have this luthier up in Oxnard, and he's a Purple Heart veteran.
Yes.
And we've been looking at some really foreign woods. We found some beautiful woods to build guitars out of. And one of them that Frank is so proud of is this purple wood we found. And I mean, it's deep. It looks like eggplant almost. It's a deep, deep purple. And it's natural and it's beautiful. So we're going to have our friend Jimmy up in Oxnard make this guitar out of the purple wood, and we're going to get together, hopefully with Guitar Center, and do a Purple Heart guitar and tie the vets into it and get them involved, and maybe give the money to the VA, but we're always looking to do other things and just burn and sell guitar bodies, because it's not just about us. It's about the world of music, and we try to emulate that. And we're constantly trying to give. And, this year at NAMM in January, we're going to have a Nefarious booth there. And when we started this company, by the way, we were just Nefarious. And our website is nefarious1.com, the number one.
Sure.
And I thought we were being a little too vague, because we're not Fender, we're not Gibson. And I think when they started, they were probably Gibson guitars and Fender guitars. And at one point became so big, they didn't need to mention guitars. So we're in the process right now of changing our company to Nefarious Guitars. And our site is nefariousguitars.com. and we're redesigning our website as we speak. It'll probably be up and running within 2 weeks. And, we're changing all our logos, all of our banners, for NAM, and all of our swag, all our t-shirts, hats, all the stuff that we're designing now. So it's just so fun to me personally, who's a drummer. Um, Never played a guitar in my life, but Leo Fender never played a guitar either. So maybe that's not the most important thing. But the great thing is we've come up with this thing that, it's an artistic touch to electric guitars. I mean, we can do acoustic guitars too, but the fact is, it doesn't affect the tonality of the guitars. So it's something that is really beautiful to look at. And every guitar we burn comes out different than the last. So each one's an original. And but this patch guitar was very clever. And like I said, I tip my hat to Frank Chiker, who this was his brainchild, I'll say. And now we got the Purple Heart guitar underway, and there's going to be more coming from Nefarious Guitars.
Well, I love it so much because you're mixing art, you're mixing nature, and you're mixing entertainment. The legendary instrument of a guitar, but it's extremely artistic, but it all starts with the wood. It's a piece of art, and I think it's one of a kind, really stands out. I can't wait to collaborate with you at the NAM show. Like I say, I'm running one of the biggest events there. I'm going to bring you up on stage during our event in the big ballroom, and we're going to do a big meet and greet as people leave the ballroom after the session. And Ted Cohen is my guest on stage with me, and of course, Ted is legendary with Warner and EMI and everything, and he's a funny guy. I know he's gonna have a ball with these guitars. You
Well,
know,
I love Ted Cohen, man. I've known him. I worked with him through our affiliation with Geffen and Warner's over the years, and
yes.
he's just such an awesome dude, man. And yet, I was really hoping I was going to get to speak at your panel, and I'm really excited about NAM this year because a lot of the big companies that kind of bailed out the last couple of years are back. So NAM's
I
going to.
I I'm hearing like it's 5 days now, 3 days of exhibition, but there's 2 days prior, and a lot of the big companies, and there's new companies like yourself. I think it's going to be a hell of a show.
Yeah,
So
I'm really excited. And last year we kind of hobnobbed onto one of the booths, but there was so much going on. We just wanted to hold our guitars as people walk by to see them. But this year it's going to be a whole new world. And what we did last year is we kind of mooched our way into David Ellefson's booth, who is the ex bass
oh
player.
yeah. No, I was there last year. Dave had it was like Grand Central Station over there.
Well, the great thing is he does autograph sessions with all these big rock and metal bands. And also this year we're against a wall, so we're not in an aisle, which is great
Okay.
because we're going to have our booth. We're next to a rock and roll clothing line, and then we have David's giant booth, and he's going to have bands coming and going all day. And next to that is a double-sized booth that is a huge lounge that Lon Friend is part of. And so you're going to have this wall that's going to be like 40, 50, 60 feet long of our booths that it's just going to be popping. I'm
And
so
what hall? What hall is that? A, B, C,
we're
D?
in Hall D, and
Hall D.
our booth is 4234, and Hall D is in David.
Wow.
And that's, Hall D is where you want to be. That's where a lot of the big guitar companies are. So it's going to be fun, man. I'm really psyched about it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's going to be an epic kickoff for the new year. Nefarious Guitars. Can't wait to put all the links down below. We're going to drive some more traffic to this amazing Denim benefit guitar. I am going to go down and bless it tomorrow and get some good footage. Hope to see you there. If not, we'll be networking through it. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, across the street, have you been to Mr. Music Head, the gallery?
No, I
You know
haven't.
about that?
No,
It's
no.
high end rock photography.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of GNR, one of your little baby bands you put on the map, took them to the highest of highs. Mark Canner, Slash his childhood friend, and
Hmm.
Jack Lew, who came out with that book Reckless Road. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's all hundreds of the earliest photos chronicling like the first 50 gigs GNR ever did. And to me,
Oh,
that's
wow.
that sweet spot when you went from, Hollywood Rose and LA Guns and you ended up with those five guys with that, Mike Clank and Alan Niven and made that record. That's where the sweet spot was. Any number of those guys could have been in the band, but
Yeah.
it was Slash, it was Duff, it was Axel, it was Izzy, and it was Adler. And they're doing a big signing of their book and talking. I just interviewed Mark again. I go down to Canner's. He's third generation. His grandfather launched that Canner's Deli on Fairfax, right by Fairfax High, where
Oh, wow.
Slash and Adler and the Chili Peppers and Phil Spector and everybody went to high school. Talking about famous alumni.
That's
I
so
love
cool.
it.
I went to the F1 race in Vegas last weekend,
Yeah.
and I guess I missed Axel by minutes at this after party over at the Wynn Hotel. And yeah, those guys, man, I'll always have a connection with them. And that first album, I've said it before, but I mean, Mike Klink really, he worked some magic on that record, and there were a lot of principles involved in it, but it came out so great. So I will go across the street. I want to check that out. But by the way, on the patch guitar, the one thing I didn't mention
Yes.
is my good friend Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Yes.
I told him about the guitar and I sent a picture because Slipknot's one of the patches on the guitar. And he said, "That's awesome, dude." And I said, "Do you think by any chance you would sign it? Because it's all for charity." He goes, "Well, I sign it. I'll get all 9 members to sign it." So all 9 SIGs are on the guitar too, which hopefully raises the value considerably.
It's a one of a kind.
Yeah.
We can't be more proud of what you're doing, Marco. It's only the beginning. I know in a couple of years from now we're going to be talking about the rise of Nefarious, and everybody trying to jump on the train that's already moving. But it's right here. This is the epicenter.
And we have a couple of ideas under development right now that I'm not allowed to talk about right now, but they will be epic if we pull this off, and there'll be more to come soon.
Well, our special guest is the one and only, the record industry legend, Marko Babineau, rock and roll realtor and guitar manufacturer, Nefarious. Come to the NAMM show, get on the Guitar Center site, bid on this. I just got that massive email. They did a big blast. Everybody's checking it out. And we will be talking very soon. Thank you so much for joining us, Marco.
Thank you so much, Jay. Love you, man, and happy holidays.